Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Face Off. And this movie is directed by John Woo, and it came out in 1997. And it stars John Travolta and Nicolas Cage. And I've never seen this movie before, and I know the line, I want to take his face. Oh! That line in the movie, I've always known that line, and a couple other things were pretty famous about this movie. And I watched the movie and I was thoroughly entertained by it, even though it's pretty much me laughing at the movie because I think it's ridiculous and crazy. And in a way, I'm glad that it does that, but at the same time, I don't know if I can give this movie credit for doing that because I just don't know how aware this movie is when it comes to the cheese and the overall story and presentation and how things actually play out as opposed to how things are on paper. And I just don't know how self-aware this movie is outside of the performances and just how things are on paper. And Nicolas Cage, I thought he was great, and he was really entertaining in this movie, especially in the first half. And I'm sure you all know what the plot is for this movie, and things get pretty crazy, and it's like a big cat and mouse game throughout the entire film, and it's pretty funny. The action in this movie wasn't great because there were a lot of close shots, and you didn't really get a lot of wide shots, if ever. And there was a lot of slow motion, and there were some obvious stunt doubles and stuff like that that distracted me and dragged the action down in this movie. But really, where my enjoyment comes from is the non-action scenes and when it's just characters talking. And when the character Castor Troy is on screen, then I was fully with the movie when it came to the tone of the film. And I do think the villain is the best part of the movie. Not to say that the main character, Sean Archer, isn't a character that I like at all. It's mostly just Nicolas Cage and his performance, and that stuff I really enjoyed. And there were parts where I was literally laughing continuously, just nonstop, and I was loving it. And the first half is awesome, and I could totally rewatch the first half of this movie right now because it was super entertaining for me. And this movie does try to explain the sci-fi angle of this movie, and in doing so, it does leave more questions than answers. But it does make the movie funny at the very least. This movie is also very well paced. It doesn't waste any time whatsoever, despite being 2 hours and 20 minutes. It is a fun ride, and it just doesn't stop. And even when things get really complicated in the story and things are getting crazier and crazier, that's when things work for me, and I'm always with it. And it's a pretty funny movie for me to watch. And I can't really think of a scene where I was bored, honestly, because it just keeps going. Apparently, there's a sequel in development, or maybe, possibly. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I just don't even know what they're going to do if they were to make a sequel to this movie, honestly. I don't know if it would work because there are specific things about this movie that it just had to exist in 1997. And a lot of it feels like a movie that could not work if it came out today. Because this movie is very cheesy, but so were also a lot of movies from the 90s. There were a lot of cheesy movies back then. Not to say that there are no movies that come out today that are cheesy, but there were just a lot more of them back then. And to make something like this today, I don't know if it would work or if audiences would accept it. And this movie has lots of goofy ideas in it, and it's a blast. I know I keep saying the same thing over and over and over again, but really, you watch the movie and There's a lot to talk about, but only really if you get into spoilers, or at least that's my experience, or how I feel about it personally. And I will say this much about the movie. The emotional beats of the film don't really work for me. I just find them to be really goofy and silly, and whenever it's trying to be goofy, it works. And although I'm a bit confused as to whether or not it's intentional or not in every single scene, I'm willing to believe that at the very least, I would say about half of it is intentional. Maybe there are parts that are unintentional that are just a little too much. But that's not to say I didn't enjoy the film, and I am willing to rewatch this movie right now, and it's a classic for sure. Check this movie out if you haven't already, because I was thoroughly entertained by it. I can't think of another movie like it where I was like this entertained by it. It was a blast, like I've said many times already. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Face Off a 6 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Face Off, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for 2010, the year we make contact. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.